Well, good morning. I think it's mainly good morning because most people are in Europe, although, it's 12:02, so who knows, maybe it could be good afternoon as well. I just want to welcome you to this online session, and I'm really glad to see there is so many old friends, people who've been working in the industry for a long time, and also new people. So welcome, everyone. And today, I want to give you the opportunity to do something that luckily I've always had access to because of the career that I have, but many people don't, which is to talk to people who are leaders in the industry, people who have worked in the industry for a long time, who are in positions of power, of influence. And Marcel is one such person. He is the Secretary General of ESTELLA. And we're going to talk today about how Brussels is changing, is modeling, is influencing, is shaping the future of CSP, of thermal storage, whether this is in terms of politics, regulations, in terms of just the trends that they're setting for the European countries. It is very important to understand, just how Europe can actually influence the change in the industry, how it can move things, how it can take us in the right direction or one direction. So, Marcel, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself really shortly for the people who may not know you, although I think most people would. Just tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Thank you, Belen, for this introduction, and welcome to everybody on this channel. Yeah, my name is Marcel Bian. I'm leading the office of ESTELLA in Brussels. In terms of career, I spent most of my life in the utilities in Austria, and then I was 10 years heading a TSO organizations here in Brussels before I came to the solar thermal solar business in 2013. This is about myself now.
Yeah.
Maybe words.
I just wanted to say, like, Marcel, it's incredible. Like, not many people understand what's going on in Europe. So thank you very much for explaining to us, how we can use Brussels, to forward a little bit the cause. And I don't know if this is the time where you wanted to continue, but can you tell us what what is happening with ESTELLA in Brussels right now, and how you're pushing sort of like the thermal agenda, and we'll take it from there.
Before, maybe the first thing to spread them out, to share here is ESTELLA is a so-called non-for-profit business association, as hundreds, if not thousands, are operating in Brussels, and as such. We are essentially political communication entities. We are trying to achieve some specific goals. I will come back maybe to that. But now, about ESTELLA has a specific geographical scope of activity by ESTELLA. We're looking to Europe, of course, but also to what is known as a Euromed area. So we're looking into Northern Africa, of course. And but today, due to the fact that the market, the CSP market or the CST market, as we will say later, it came to a halt in Europe, we are very much also looking in what's happening outside Europe, and sometimes even moving towards the authorities in Chile, in South America, in South Africa, to send some kind of messages that we got and we shaped in the European frame. So we want to be, for the first role of ESTELLA is to be a single point of contact, a one-stop shop, let's say, for the European institutions. This is originally what ESTELLA should be and is. And we're trying to do two things: to provide some intel or intelligence to our members about what is cooked in the institutions with of course related to our sector, to try to anticipate also things that are precisely cooked and to impact the decisions of these institutions. And in order to do that, I don't want to go into details. We have a small but very effective team in Brussels that we are participating in several types of activity. But this is the essence of ESTELLA, gathering members from the industry, developers, service and components providers, and research centers. We have a threefold constituency. As industry and research, we are covering the two aspects. And yes, and I can now, let's say, in order to better understand why such associations exist, we have to, or maybe let me give you one of an essential message that is maybe not so frequently on this, in your discussions, is that Europe does not, let's put it like straightforward, Europe will never build CSP plants or really will not do projects, real projects. So the main thing to understand is that the competence for deploying a technology lays, as always, in the hands of national governments and national entities. So this is what ESTELLA tries to grasp from the discussions in Brussels, aspects or intentions or ambitions, European ambitions, but as of today, we have to send these kind of messages back to the national governments of the countries that, in our view, should look at CSP, which is not yet not the case. This competence, this national competence of the member states for the deployment of energy has a tremendous important role in the sense that we are spending many times a lot of arguments. We're exchanging arguments about technological performance of the various components or even of various solutions. We are spending hours and days and a long time about cost reduction curves and about cost competitiveness, and so all this is very nice and are of course very real issues to follow, but as such they will not move a member state, let's say, to do and to open a market, especially when this market is not at all existing, which is, except Spain, this is the case for all other member states. So I wanted to insist, and without being too long, on this first aspect. So we are not, even if we are playing the role of a single interface to the institutions are not our target. We do not expect that the European Commission or the European Parliament will make a new power plant in southern Italy or in Extremadura. This is not what they are going to do. But the Commission, the Parliament, sometimes with our help and our contribution, develop some arguments lines that to which the member states and authorities should be sensitive, or should understand. This is an essential point for the job we are doing here. Now, I don't know whether it's part of your first question. I think it was.
I was going to ask what are the main messages. So I think this is really a second question. What are the main messages that you are sort of trying to influence, or that you're driving home in Brussels about CSP, about thermal storage, and then a little bit about understanding, what is the status of the technology in Europe right now from the Brussels perspective, so that we understand what's in the cookbook, at least, if not cooking.
But precisely because of what I said, we have today understood there cannot be one single set of messages to everybody in Europe. The first, also fundamental aspect of our work is today, which was not always the case, is to take into account the single national perspectives. We're trying to deliver arguments, I will come back to these arguments, to member states that have been brewed somehow or not yet in Brussels, according to a better understanding of where the single countries with their competence for investment and for regulation. This all happens in the member states, to better understand where the single countries want to go. And the point is to hook our arguments on these main lines that are the main national interest that we find in there. I try to get clearer. About CSP in Europe, you have at least two type of perspectives, two type of ways to look at CSP or CST today. You have the which I call the Iberian perspective, a sunny country, a sunny area with already, at least for Spain, a developed technology with actors. So the perspective of what we have to defend about Spain is that Spain also manages, and that the authorities in Spain really come to open and break, to deliver the practicals, modalities, and conditions for what has been put in the Spanish plan for the next 10 years. Everybody should know that Spain has foreseen or has declared that it will build 5 gigawatt new capacity in CSP over the next 10 years, and even beyond that, to improve the situation of existing power plants. There is a second part of the Spanish strategy. We can come also maybe more in detail to that. But this is the Spanish or Iberia. Portugal is also included deploying some CSP in Portugal, much less, but 300 megawatt. And this country, what would be the ideal scenario besides constructing the plants, which have been put in the plan? There is a very strong, of course, argument line that to say that in such sunny countries, Southern European countries, such an energy on demand, a green energy on demand as CSP can deliver it, should not only be limited to be used in the country, but could be also made beneficial, let's say, to other countries searching to also to move forward to the company. The point is that CSP, and it's not new idea, could be well exported from the southern areas also in Europe, and Spain as in especially Southern Europe, but Italy, Greece, Cyprus are such countries with sufficient solar resources. Turkey as well, as close to Europe. So this is a first perspective, what you call. But we had to see that this one perspective, this one way to look at CSP and to possibly use it is something that is not necessarily shared, is not necessarily in the radar of other member states that may have take France, 2 giant developers in France successful on world markets, but there is no serious, let's say, probability or ambition of France to build CSP in France, as it could be the case in southern area. But there, the interest is completely different. It's about helping and supporting this industry for its export business, for being more successful and maybe more ambitious in their business outside of Europe. This is something we have to look at also from here, from our observatory, let's say, and beyond France. Also, then you have Central European states. We identify there are among 8 to 10 countries that for either because they have excellent research capacities or because they have companies that have references along the value chain. Such 8 to 10 countries should look again at CSP and how to use it. And we came to the conclusion that a lot of Central and Northern European countries are looking to CSP for other purposes than electricity generation. Trying to as one of the most famous subject that is a mainstream discussion now in Northern Europe is hydrogen. We will for sure probably come back to that also later. But this today, this new way of looking at CSP has become part of the type of things we are saying to and trying to send back to the member states. This is not a uniform message. This is not the old message. Like I said, the LCOE will come that close to the PV. Or so the time of these kind of discussions where single technologies were advocated and promoted by numbers also is over. This race is over. PV and wind, onshore and even offshore, have a giant, let's say, deployment behind that. The point is now to find across technologies and even across sectors applications and uses where CSP can definitely play a role. So this is maybe so far to this not one set of message, but precisely we try to first understand where does a country want to go. What is it's not only about energy. The energy market is one part of a big animal called national interest. Sometimes you have a technology that was deployed or is in discussion to be deployed that may serve the interest of various sectors. It's not only energy, it's about also the ministries and the entities in charge of making the decision to go for a technology deployment are looking at the overall impact of the deployment, of the level of involvement of own industry. Nobody thinks in terms of European industry, but of their national industry and national research. So this is a very important point. So now back to what you want to know. What is our essential, let's say, message today? For those who are focusing on the electricity market, we are today saying clearly that the future of CSP is closely linked to the future of PV. There is a complementarity between these two technologies. And together, PV, as the industry does in some markets, together those two technologies will be able to cover various power dispatch profiles or power needs at competitive costs. So this is, if you go into this is much about pointing at the essential assets of thermal storage, normally linked, delivered together with the CSP plant. And while we land in, we come to talk about the ability of the CSP plants with sufficient storage. This is what would be built today in Europe. No more CSP plant without storage is conceivable today in Europe. But okay, this CSP is an ideal, is just fitting perfectly into the dispatch profile when PV output will go down. This is the famous story of the duck curve. Yeah, CSP is an adequate answer to ramp up and to deliver nighttime energy as needed. We also insist on the availability of the technology. You know that precisely talking about storage and which kind of storage is supposed to be most successful. Europe is boiling with new ideas, be it P to X, X to P, or so the use of gas infrastructure to solve the storage dimension, batteries, hydrogen. Everybody's fighting and defending a kind of a cost competitiveness in various platforms. What we are saying here is very simple. Say we do not dispute the hope that some technologies such as batteries or P2X or will reach in 10 years, in 15 years, will be competitive to thermal storage. But thermal storage is available now. Today, industry may deliver the capacity at utility scale and at competitive cost if you take at a given location, as they say, the cost of what would be the delivery of nighttime energy based on PV plus batteries, and you compare this to what the cost would be for out of a CSP plant. This is what we say: availability. No, we're not talking about visions or hopes, or we are talking about an existing technology, a proven technology. There is more than 30 years that thermal storage is
making a good point. And I think you're preaching to the choir here because everyone agrees. I'm going to change slightly tack, but also keeping very much in this Brussels thing. And I think it's really great that people are getting to have the opportunity to hear you talk, because you've been working there so long. How has the COVID crisis, how have you seen this sort of change or shift the thinking? In particular, I'm kind of joining like two ideas that I had here. One, has the COVID crisis helped or hindered on the one hand, and on the other hand, is it going to help longer term in the reduction of the dependence on China? What are the possible repercussions in terms of onshoring manufacturing and, both positive and negative repercussions really on CSP thermal storage?
To be frank, I had not later than yesterday a discussion with my board members, and I tabled this question for knowing that this might pop up today. The answer is straightforward: is no. There is no today. No company has reported, at least to us, has reported a major distinctive impact of the COVID crisis on the amount of activity in the industry. This is what I can answer you. What is, of course, no doubt that the impact of the current crisis and what is, I fear, still to come around this COVID, that the general impact on the economic on the economies will be such that it will, of course, have an impact on overall on industry production, industry line, and to which extent now those specific companies that are today in the industry delivering components or promoting this kind of projects will be impacted. As we talk now, and I cannot tell you more than that, it is not something that is reported by our members. So now we are not only for the industry, and it's very hard for me now to anticipate, for anybody to anticipate the level of damage we will suffer especially in Europe due to this crisis. But as of now, the answer is nothing specific has popped up in the reports of our members.
And in terms of the long-term onshoring of manufacturing, is there a chatter in Brussels for any sort of influence towards those goals?
Yes, Brussels is also starting with the Commission services and is very much concerned, of course, of this crisis, but takes it, of course, from a higher level. They do not look yet, especially not now, at specific, let's say, sectors. Of course, you have the pharmaceutical sectors that was really now in the media, but the story is like nobody dares, let's say, in Brussels to openly disregard or forget the ambitions of what has been called the Green Deal, to have a program with a number of instruments, financial instruments, also at very high level that are not yet really operational. But the Green Deal is to move forward in the climate change fight. What has now been discussed a lot and we intervene in this discussion is how these Green Deal ambitions can be linked to the recovery of the economy, and how a green recovery instead of Green Deal, so how can the monies that now member states are putting together with the Commission and are supposed to be allocated to various sectors of the industry, we are trying to ensure that the amount of money that was originally, or the type of actions to support the deployment of renewables as a whole, not only CSP, will not be cut down because of the crisis. This is, as I said, nobody among officials will tell you that this is going to be the case, but of course, what you see in at the level of member states or even within the Commission, there are a lot of pressures to keep the money flowing to the traditional sectors, one of them being agriculture, and some of the research and the research budget, or at least the type of support to research and innovation, or even to the world of small and medium-sized enterprise is rapidly melting down. But,
I'll get to the research thing very soon because it's one of the questions I wanted to ask. However, we had a question from the audience, and it's a bit of a curveball, but I know you, Marcel, for a long time, and I know you can completely take them. So there is a question that is very specific, and it asks, what about the role of the European Commission supporting EU companies to export components, services, and expertise into other regions? As you mentioned about France, for example. And what about supporting R&D? We'll get there, the R&D. Yeah, this says here CSP companies around the world. We'll deal with the R&D, but I'm interested in seeing what is the role of the European Commission in actually exporting.
For the export business, what I can tell you is the most effective instruments, or where things are discussed, is this services about development and cooperation. There are a known part of a known service of the Commission. It's called DEFCO, for development and cooperation. And these services analyzes and tries to support the export, if you see, or the support provided by European companies to countries with strong needs. So this may lead to some partial funding. So there is no direct full funding by the for what I know by the Commission for some export business, but the Commission can intervene if the project matches one of the objectives of this DEFCO. Let's keep it with this DEFCO policy. Then there might be a partial support. So this is one. The rest, man, the support, the direct support to research and innovation is a much clearer, much straightforward. As you know, the European Union and especially the services called Research and Innovation manage a very substantial amount of money, hundreds of millions or even billions over a finance program, and this money is allocated based on a specific procedure. I see some people from research entities among the participants. So there is a process how research and innovation entities can present and propose some specific proposal responding to calls by the Commission. The Commission, Research and Innovation, delivers a number of issues today for the next 7 years or 8 years. There is today, for example, a kind of framework program, a skeleton it's called, for what the Commission will open up in terms of research and innovation areas or sectors. And the role of ESTELLA, just to come back to what we are doing here, is we have, of course, specific and special channels with the guys that are holding the pen and so we manage, for example, that in spite of having a sleeping market or the non-active market in Europe that CSP will hopefully, as we hope now, we will be still a technology where companies and research entities can submit proposals. Point is, here also we try to say to the Commission, and our action is to say, well, all types of research is of course welcome, and there is very brilliant research, fundamental research, even you can go. But if the support of the Commission to the research and innovation is intended to be also a support to relaunching and to defend this technology in Europe, then the research should be focusing on what the market of what is needed mostly, and these are high, I mean, close to market research, and I hope, now it's not official now, but I share with you this non-official. I hope that the calls for the Commission will open the doors for companies and research institutes to present projects looking into what I just said before about improving the complementarity of PV and CSP, be it on the technology, on the operation, on how to operate this kind of plants. There are a lot of things to go into. So this is, and as a, for example, CSPs will continue to be an issue in this radar, let's say, of the Commission, of the European institutions in terms of research. Where we are short of getting a support is the energy services. So the services that are looking at the development of the European market have managed to reach a partial, let's say, market integration in Europe. I'm talking now electricity, yeah? But today they have in the energy service of the Commission has only in its radar the well-deployed technology. You know, this is, they look at wind, PV, and how this, the deployment of further capacities, where these are deployed will impact the reliability and the function of the European system. But they consider CSP, strangely for me, because CSP, biomass, geothermal, ocean, tide energy as issues for research. You know, these are things that and there is, in this case, we try also to see, to use this. This is for me a kind of apparent contradiction, because when the European Union is advocating now a system integration, many people among our audience may have heard this idea of coming from Brussels, system integration, and not for the electricity sector. And I think we have very divergent understanding of what system integration can mean. If the story is about binding together again gas and electricity sector, kind of forward to the past, like it was at the, this is very bad. We don't like this. But if system integration, this is what we say to the European Commission, if system integration is to be understood as a new approach to all this technology, and to leave and to give to this industry the possibility to play their role in a multifaceted, in a manifold, let's say, each one in its best role, then we like very much system integration. Well, this is another story that I would like also to now talking about what we are doing here. We are trying to point also at some detrimental effects of what the industry finds in terms of financial condition. We are supposed to bring the cost down, but having in mind that any large project in CSP, the cost of this project depends highly on the financial condition you will find on the market. We are trying to get the authorities, the banks, to the fact that European developers, holders of this technology, still holders of this technology, frequently have harder financial conditions that competitors, the non-European competitors, you see whom I mean, non-European competitors in world. So we are pointing not later than these days at competition issues also around CSP. So CSP, be it now in Europe, be it outside Europe, should be equally supported by European banking institutions as the competitors are in the non-European competitors. There is here it's very complex. It's about trade relationship between Europe, or let's put it like East and West, but there is a point, and the Commission now, there is a number of hoped for or planned new funding and funding institutes that are supposed to offset, let's say, those differences, to provide the same or the comparable financial conditions to European developers in the world, but this is not yet the case, and it comes sometimes to strange situation where European money is flowing in the hands, if I may say so, or into projects that are driven by non-European competitors, which is not possible on the other way if European companies try to get funding by other banking institutes. Yes, this would be so. This action on financial conditions is also an aspect, a part of what we are pointing at. Please, you want something to ask me something?
I actually had a fly in here, but no, I'm just letting you, because you're actually rattling through the questions. But I just want to bring out some of the questions that the people have sent through. For example, Juan Ignacio Burgaleta, someone that's been working in this for a long time, says, "Do you think we should build a PV plus CSP plus thermal storage prototype plant in Europe?" Now, bear in mind there is one being built in Morocco at the time, so I don't know. I just leave it out here, and whether it's something that you think could be put across the EC.
Prototypes are in many cases the key to partial fundings by the European institutions via those research and innovation services. In many cases, you have the big project, those big projects with let's say, where you go into the millions of euros for such a project, is linked to bring a demonstrator or a pilot project or whatever you call this. Yes, also I think it makes a lot of sense if we want to demonstrate or to reassess the fact that Europe is still a technology leader in this technology. Its improvement should be demonstrated or prototyped in Europe. Yes, in my view, it makes a sense, especially when it comes to prototypes, as Ignacio suggests, to binding and demonstrating the complementarity of various solar technologies. Yes.
So this was one of the questions that we had. Someone is asking if you have like a proposal for the EC, how do you get funding? What are the mechanisms, just so that people understand? I don't think this is an easy question to answer, but I just thought it would be a good.
Europe is, I mean, there is no, we have advised not later than these days also a company, possibly even not among no, but a company was asking exactly the same question. And well, you have to, in order to, there is no ATM. The Commission is not ATM where you can it's not bank or as such, but you have to hook up, let's say, in a number of various programs. And I was talking about research, innovation, development, and cooperation is probably one of of the services that are closer to the type of projects we are able to deliver. So it leads me to a simple. So we are delivering this intelligence, of course, to our members, and we are trying to alert them in time about the opportunities, and then to provide them at least, as for us, a reasonable support in moving through the jungle of administrative processes when, for example, there is an innovation fund, we help our members to go through this process while what do? We are sometimes representing, we are alerting them on the next important meetings, what should be prepared to insist on, and things like that to bring that project. So this is there is no single answer to your question. There is no a place where you can send your letter and then you get the millions or the 100,000 like this. You have to hook into a program, a project. It's really to deliver to propose something, responding to a call or a need or a program or something like that. This is also one of the role of the association, especially for between, as I said before, since our constituency is made out of research centers and industry guys, we try to demonstrate always that all types of projects that are emerging from these entities are converging, are going in the same direction, should be equally supported. They are all contributing to achieving what we are after. We are what makes the essential asset, how to measure, how to put numbers to the essential assets of CSP. Now talking again just about electricity, we have this is something where research also could be very efficient on a pure methodological level. How can we assess effectively and in an understandable way for policymakers, what is the value of flexibility? What is the value of storage? As you know, everybody knows that the answer is not one. It depends so much on the where and what and so forth. But here there is also a wide open field for improving our argument against the famous LCOE dictatorship used and more than misused by other technologies.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a good, easy, narrative, right? The LCOE. I mean, I think the battery guys are now learning that actually wasn't so simple after all, because they're having to create that narrative that built something when it wasn't there. And I feel that when I hear them talking about that, and with the World Bank, we were doing like a series of webinars. One of them was called Beyond Baseload, and it's all about getting people to understand that you have to pay for certain services that they never used to. And for me, this is an argument that we've had for years in CSP. But anyway,
let me just jump on this one, because this is batteries for me also an excellent example why member states, starting with France and Germany, are going now massively into the development of batteries. It will take. Well, we have a lot of discussion, almost religious discussion, about when will battery be competitive for, let's say, 6, 7, 8 hours of storage. Will they ever be competitive compared to thermal storage? But batteries are nevertheless based on a hope, on a technological hope, they are massively now promoted in various European countries. And here, it's really a kind of, let's look at this from a national perspective. There is a kind of cross-linked, cross-sector link for the battery deployment, that because it does not matter, even matters less for the energy sector than for the automotive sector. And everybody knows that the batteries to be used in vehicles, e-vehicle will not be the same, but this is where the member states are going.
They're trying to claw at all the money available in different places.
Because their vision, and there are, for for sure, internal models in the ministry, they have established and come to the conviction that the impact on industry develop or industry activity will be higher across the sectors and not only looking at the electricity system.
So, okay, so actually I have a few more questions, but one of them is the one that we discussed many times, you know, hydrogen slash EVs slash nuclear renaissance in Europe, and especially this hydrogen thing. We've seen all of a sudden what batteries was a few years ago. Everyone was like thinking they were like the next sliced bread, and now it seems like hydrogen is the next sliced bread, and everyone's looking at that like it's going to save us. I feel like CSP has been stuck in this R&D sort of box for a very long time by the EC. So you talked about system levels and planning and how do we get ourselves in there. So I suppose my question is around how do we get ourselves into this sort of hydrogen push? You know, there's so much money going into R&D on this, into the system level. It's a bit open, you know.
Yeah, let us be clear and blunt. Let's put it like if the question about hydrogen is related to the role hydrogen technology, so hydrogen production can play in for the electricity system. If you look at any project forecast now, we are at almost neglectable levels for the next 10 years for electricity systems. So the amount of the story about hydrogen and the hype about hydrogen and the real now push on hydrogen by especially by Germany and the neighbors is another story. Hydrogen will need to play a role in many industrial sectors and improve, of course, the many let's say industrial processes. So what is important is, at least from the German, the strongest push on hydrogen is probably currently in Germany. And this led the authorities, not industry, authorities to consider, at least to listen again to what CSP could play for a role in the context of green hydrogen production and deploying this market, up to even the dimension of looking outside of Germany, having this green hydrogen produced using solar resources where there is at best. So hydrogen, the use of hydrogen as we perceive it is much wider and definitely not primarily for solving the storage issue in the power sector, but receives a lot of attention because of its potential impact on a great number of industry sectors. And it offers definitely opportunity for export or export business-oriented companies outside of the solar industry, electrolyzer makers, companies. I don't know, I want to name companies, but everybody will know what I mean.
Yeah, chemical companies essentially. Yeah.
They feel there is a wide business opportunities for the export of then the hardware, let's say, for this green energy production. So the essential message is hydrogen as a part of the let's say, to be injected in the and improve the storage of electricity for the European power system. This is something that may come up. My best forecast is something in 10 years, maybe. But I saw the 0.something% in the various, even in the big countries, in the member states, where you look at the role of hydrogen, the participation of hydrogen in solving the storage issue, you are at 0.something for over the next years. So it will take a long time until this plays a role in it. But as I said, the power system is not the first target for this move. It's a global industrial seek for a global industrial door out of especially now, out of this as a part of the recovery. And coming back to what I said, if we manage to have in Europe a recovery plan, including built on top of the deployment of renewable, if this is not killed by the severeness of the situation, then hydrogen can easily be supported also by our technology in order to have, for example, a steady green energy delivery to those plants, so hydrogen production.
Actually, one of the questions was about, and we need to be finishing now, but like I think this is an important question about more of the what I call the CSH, concentrated solar heat, which is CST for like industry really. So there is definitely, whether you guys from the European Union, from ESTELLA, not from the European Union, are doing anything in this regard. Let me see if I can find. Can you give me some insights on the European level on CST? District heating, district cooling, industrial process heat, etc.
Yeah, this is, as I said, we are in the middle of this. We are trying now to review as ESTELLA now, based on also a project funded by the Commission. We are looking into, as I said, in the specific interests of member states. And it is very clear that outside Iberia, most of the other countries consider possible uses of thermal solar for high temperature, not a higher temperature heat production, industry heat production. So we are not, as ESTELLA, we are not yet, let me say, this is a little bit my personal opinion, we are a little bit late in this, and we understood this a little bit late, that this interest in other things, maybe because we are ESTELLA Electricity, my Solar Thermal Electricity Association, but that this is even in more countries, this is the interest on solar thermal is about this. We are just in the process of looking into it, in understanding the various situation, the various Denmark, as you know, with Aalborg is a company that has already done a lot of things like that, and so many others. Germany is also as a lot of companies are looking at that. At European level, this is for two reasons very important. As the heat application is very important for a specific, let's say, fundamental reason. The decarbonization ambition of this fighting the climate change and reducing CO2 emissions has three sectors, should apply to three sectors. Energy is one, low-hanging fruit, we say, but heat, kill your fly. Heat and buildings are also the real, building, heating and cooling in buildings, and then the transport sector are really the hard nuts to where progress towards less CO2 emissions will be much more difficult to achieve than in the energy supply. So this is hot for Europe. Looks at that. We have, it just comes to my mind, there is a specific large project trying to look into this. It's called InShip. We are not involved in that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we are right now.
It's the German government, I think. Yeah.
Yes. We are trying to also, but we need, and this is maybe my final remark, since we're about to close.
I know, right? 30 minutes we had in our mind.
In order to bring in the discussion as many perspectives and business let's say directions as possible, we need, of course, to have as many companies participating now. So it's a kind of invitation to many in the audience. If you have something to say related to solar thermal, as in the sense of heat application, we have some companies with some projects, but we need more meat, because as ESTELLA is sometimes short, as we know, because in delivering and shaping new what could be done with solar and thermal in the context of heat, of heat, industrial heat or process heat. So I invite all those who are closer to this, starting with my friends in Aalborg, to really have to spend some days in ESTELLA and to enrich our messages with their own experience.
Thank you very much, Marcel. I was going to be my last question. How do we help you, like, you know, further the industry more in Europe? You know, like, what do we need? I think you need more support from companies, or what is it that you guys from ESTELLA need from the industry?
It's anything but official ESTELLA opinion. My conviction is due to the narrowhood of the market. We have few developers. We have the industry is not that. You have not foresee around CSP the hundreds of companies. We have a couple of handful of companies. What the industry, having understood now that the let's say the technical and cost arguments are not so really we have to improve our shooting power and having a better, I call this, allow me this expression, pre-commercial cooperation. The company should have to exchange more information where and be more active in defining where they want to go. This is, we have to face in Brussels some other lobbying forces. We're not alone in the world, and it is my first thing to help. Also, one, people in the sector should talk more. Nobody wants to hear the last figures about cost. No, we know this will never be possible, but come to us and participate. We are very cheap association in participating in defining the strategy and extending even the number of messages where you feel them as a. To that extent, we have also an excellent collaboration also between ESTELLA at the European level and some national association in Germany and in Spain. And from there, sometimes we see that specific aspects that are in, taken as that were born in a country can be also very, very well used at European level. It's about displaying back, ideas, getting some intelligence. Some new ideas from the wide debate and playing them back to the national authorities in charge of taking decisions.
It seems to me that Simona here was talking to me, was saying about InShip in the Q&A box. We need more coordination in the industry, and I think we need something that gives us back our oomph, which we've lost a long time ago. Hopefully, we'll have good news from Portugal. You guys, if there is anyone from the government that in Portugal, pressure over here. And yes, I mean, someone asked, 5 gigawatts are on the PNIEC, on the national plan in Spain, so some movement hopefully will happen. But I think it's important that we all band together behind ESTELLA, or, an institution that can, because the gas lobby is huge and they're pushing for hydrogen.
No, and I am, again, I'm speaking frankly, I am in some context, we even need to seek for even coordination with other solar industry. When we talk about combining PV and CSP, we can, if we do this without having a kind of coordination with the PV guys, this is not, unfortunately, we have a lot to improve about that, and having this more integrated perception of the solar industry. Solar industry take whatever you want as a promoter. They don't care about whether CSP or PV. They can blend these for the best possible result according to a specific need. So this is where we have to more people in the talk and enriching the debate with specific experience, and we are then be able to manage this differentiated, let's say, messages that not so much to the Commission but back to the countries, alleging that it is and saying that it was born in Europe. This is, look, this is what Europe expects. This is a special game.
Well, thank you very much, Marcel, and thank you very much for all your hard work and Estella's hard work. I know that some of your colleagues are online. So, and yeah, now I think in August it's time for all of us to take a little break. This has been a very hard year, but we will see you again in September, you know, for more CSP. And I just like to take the opportunity to thank Estella and obviously Protermo Solar for their support over the years, but also an SQM and Siemens for supporting this kind of content creation, because they are, you know, in the end, they sponsor a CSP agenda here in Data Insights. And thank you very much for all of the attendees that are here today, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.